from the ride across Indiana.
Welcome to the GCN Show.
Hello, and welcome to the GCN Show, brought to you as ever by our friends over at Wiggle.
This week, we're asking if it's always necessary to wear a bike helmet, because there's been some interesting research published recently which could stir up that debate.
We've also got Emma riding a Century, on a buffalo bike, no less, Jan Ullrich brawling over in Mallorca, and some more grade A cycling inspiration. This week in the world of cycling, we learnt that we probably shouldn't be expecting too much in the way of cycling performance from recent Tour de France winner Geraint Thomas, at least for the next few weeks. I mean, here's a picture of him enjoying himself, fair enough, but then here's another picture of him enjoying himself, and then here's another one.
Well, I say fair enough. I mean, Dan, you're still celebrating 164th place in the Tour de France in much the same way as Geraint, and that was 9 years ago.
Only eight years ago. But you're right, yeah, I'm celebrating that most evenings of most weeks of most months still to this day. We also learned that if the Transcontinental race is indeed the new Tour de France, then its winner, James Hayden, put in a performance worthy of Eddie Merckx.
That's right, the new cannibal. Perhaps, as we film this, he is just shy of completing the 4,000 odd kilometre self-supported race in just under 9 days. Which is pretty bonkers, isn't it? Although he was sleeping in hotels and not hedges, which kind of seems a bit lightweight, even if it's allowed. Yeah, well, not cheap. But
Okay.
He might have some competition though, old Hayden, if this tweet from Thomas de Ghent is anything to go by. Look at that, Team Bike, bikepacking.
Breakaway late. I reckon he'd be good at that, wouldn't he, bikepacking, Thomas de Ghent?
I reckon he'd be really good at the start, mate, and he'd get a massive gap, and then they'd chase him down just before the finish.
Yeah, what all the well-known sprinters at the Transcontinental.
Yeah,
just
history
hit them at the
repeating
line.
itself.
Yeah, he'd be gutted again, wouldn't he? Also this week, the ever-interesting cycling science over on Twitter linked to some new research which is sure to stir up the ever-controversial cycling helmet debate.
Should you always wear a helmet when riding a bike?
Well, in some countries you don't have a choice because it is the law for all cyclists to wear a helmet, such as in Australia. But what about in other countries where that law doesn't exist? What should you do then? Should you wear a helmet all the time, or should you wear it some of the time, or never wear a helmet?
Yeah, well, I reckon if yours is the latter viewpoint, you will probably end up turning to the Netherlands for supporting evidence if you're asked to explain yourself, because there, just 0.5% of cyclists wear helmets, and yet statistically, it's incredibly safe. There are very few bad accidents.
But even in countries which aren't necessarily a cycling utopia, such as the Netherlands, there is still a debate to be had, and that is partly because a new study that has just been published has shown that cycling is only a little bit more risky than walking, and in fact it's less risky than walking if you're doing exactly the same journey.
Yep, according to the Journal of Transport and Health, which is quite a good read.
It's a really good read.
Yeah. In the UK, head injury was the cause of death in 46% of cycling fatalities, which is pretty high, but yet it's also the cause of death in 42% of pedestrian fatalities. So theoretically then, should we wear helmets when walking?
Well, yes, because per kilometre travelled, the risk is double on foot as it is on a bike.
Food for thought. Have we got our sense of risk wrong?
Well, perhaps, but maybe helmet use should be viewed separately from risk. Research from the Accident and Analysis Prevention Journal showed that among kids in the US, increased helmet use was likely responsible for a decrease of 25% in bike-related injuries seen in emergency departments between 2006 and 2015. Irrespective of the level of risk, reducing serious injury should always be viewed as a good thing, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And actually, the Transportation Research Part F Traffic Psychology and Research Journal,
Wow.
Yeah, definitely one of our favourites, showed that one of the most quoted bits of anti-helmet research that suggested that people took more risks when they were wearing helmets is actually flawed. Now, importantly, it's not necessarily that the premise is wrong, just that that particular paper needed more research.
I think, though, that for the majority of us here at GCN, and also the majority of you watching GCN, we should probably put cyclists into two distinct categories, because there's certainly one category that puts themselves at an increased risk, and that is the one that want to go fast on their bikes or go into group rides where they're in close proximity, or even pin some numbers on and actually do a race. So if we go back to our original thoughts of the Netherlands, in a 2008 government study there, they found that of all the cyclists admitted to hospital, 13% were wearing helmets. Now you'll remember that only 0.5% of cyclists in the Netherlands actually wear a helmet in the first place. So what on earth is going on there? I'll tell you what, I think it's cycling as a sport. The people that we said before want to go fast. I think we've got two distinct groups of cyclists that are trying to have the same debate using the same statistics. We should separate it out.
That's right, I think that's absolutely bang on. Now, if we come back to our original question then, of should you always wear a helmet when cycling? Of course, unless the law actually dictates, then it's down to personal choice. But we think that you probably should always wear a helmet. I can see the reasons why we shouldn't have to wear a helmet at all times, because we certainly want to get in a position where we're victim blamed. So, i.e., they weren't wearing a helmet, therefore it's somehow acceptable for them to have been run over by a truck or a lorry. But otherwise, I just can't see why you wouldn't wear one.
No? Well, let's know what you think. Is there a reason not to wear one? Are you somebody that wears one all the time on your bike? Are you a bit like us and think that there might be occasions where you don't need to wear one, but you might as well? Or do you adamantly refuse to ever wear a helmet when you're riding a bike? Get involved in the comments down below.
We better head back to the studio, mate, but
Yeah, I'll
be
drink
careful.
up.
It's quite hot.
It is still hot, yeah. I burnt my lip earlier.
You gonna wear a helmet though when we go back? Yeah, okay.
Double the risk when walking. We walk briskly.
Made it.
Better safe than sorry. I think is the expression. Now, last week on the show, you will have seen that Emma added to her world titles.
You leave your helmet on?
Just for the time being, yeah. Added to her world titles by winning the World Folding Bike Championships in London. This week, we're going to see if she can ride the Prudential Ride London 100 on a buffalo bike.
Knowing Emma, she probably can, can't she?
I expect so.
Oh, actually, how much do those bikes weigh?
Buffalo bike's 24 kilograms.
Isn't that pretty much the same weight as Emma?
Yes. It's probably not too far off.
I am at the start of Ride London with a team from World Bicycle Relief. We're going to ride 100 miles to raise money for Buffalo Bikes for World Bicycle Relief. Wish us luck. Right, I have made it to Richmond Park. 21 miles in, that's over a fifth. And now I need a pee, so I'm going to stop. Already, and some water. It is raining. I think it might be time for the rain cap. So my problem here is that I wanted to somehow drop the chain and jam it in the rear cock. So a bit of fun with a span. It's also not the most beautiful place to stop with the Right, I'm back. I had to stop videoing for a while because it got a bit cold and all I could really do was shiver. But now things are looking up. So, in Isha, there is a massive tailwind and it seems to be quite a lot downhill, which is fantastic. So, I've suddenly picked up some speed. I overtook some people. Pretty chuffed about that. And I've been chatting to people about the Buffalo Bike, about World Bicycle Relief, about Prudential Ride London, about the weather, which is fantastically British. I have to say, I'm glad that the British weather turned on for us today. Wouldn't want a sunny ride, that would just be so boring. So anyway, back into London soon, and maybe I'll make the finish before the cut-off time. The oranges are all still intact because, although I did intend to eat them, or some of them, I think 48 would have been a lot of oranges to consume in one day. I did want to eat some, but my hands are too cold to peel an orange, so they are safe from my hunger.
It's now time for cycling shorts.
Cycling shorts now, and we're actually going to return to the helmet theme now because your next one could be 3D printed. 3dprint.com have an article up at the moment with this Canadian brand Kupel, who claim that not only can they make 3D printed helmets, but they are actually an improvement on standard EPS, which is the normal foam that you get in standard helmets.
I wonder though whether they're slightly overselling it here. If you look at their little comparison chart, one that stands out for me is that their new 3D printed helmet is lightweight, flexible and breathable, whereas your normal helmet is hot, sweaty and stinky. So
They could be describing me versus you there. Well, I'm not breathable.
you're not lightweight either, not anymore.
No, I'm not anymore. But I am flexible. No, I'm not.
Are you?
No, no. But you are hot, sweaty and stinky.
Yeah,
Right.
thanks.
Sorry, mate. Moving swiftly on. See what I did there?
No, I'm just not going to forgive you.
Okay.
Not anytime soon.
Right, the audience will love this. Moving swiftly on, in case you didn't hear it the first time. Last week, Ollie and Si told you about the new course for the World Championships based on the Austrian one that they'll be using later on this year. Well, in related news, this week they've announced the 2018 Zwift Academy.
They have indeed. Now, if you're already enrolled, then you can now take part in your 10 training sessions, your 4 group rides and your 2 races. But they also say that it's not too late if you haven't already signed up. In fact, you've got until August the 19th to do so. And also bear in mind that for everyone who does take part, you get free access to today's plan for the duration of your time in the academy, which means that you can basically analyse your own performance as well as seeing how you stack up to other people.
Well, it's well worth doing it for that, but it's also worth doing it because if you are good enough to win, don't forget, the winners of the male and female categories get a place in Team Dimension Data's Continental Squad or the Canyon SRAM Women's Squad.
That's a pretty mega prize there. Yeah. Oh, speaking of good prizes, actually, the famous Newport Nocturne here in the UK have now given parity to the men's and women's prize list, which is notable for the fact that the first prize is the weight of the winner in beer.
Wow,
Which
I
is
can
great.
feel a comeback coming on.
Yeah, I
this
bet you
side.
can.
Although, is that parity? Because the likelihood is that the women's winner is not going to come away with as much beer as the men's winner. I mean, imagine if we sent Emma and she won, she'd only come back with about 4 pints.
Yeah, good point. Good job, Opie is our sprinter, isn't it, really?
That's true. Yeah, people are always commenting about he's the only presenter they've ever seen in GCN kit with muscles. aren't they?
Exactly, yeah.
In fact, he weighs 10% more than me. That's 10% more beer, potentially.
Yeah, 7 litres of beer. That would keep you going for, what, half an hour or so?
Yes. So let's send him. Let's send him. I've actually been to a few races where the winner has won their weight in some sort of alcohol. For example, in the Champagne region in France, the Champagne region.
Thanks for
You
translating,
didn't
mate.
get my French accent. But when the prize was given, all of the riders that were looking at the prize giving were more interested in how much he actually weighed than the prize itself. Oh, 74.5 kilograms.
You know
could
you're a
lose a bit of
cyclist
weight.
when, yeah, that's a very good point. Now, think of someone who would probably have won an awful lot of beer during their career, Jan Ullrich.
Yeah, only in the off season. He did pile on the pounds, didn't he? Well,
He
get lean.
He did used to get lean, didn't he? But anyway, Jan has unfortunately been getting into a bit of trouble. He broke into his next door neighbour's garden on the island of Mallorca and apparently interrupted a party they were having with some rather aggressive behaviour, which is a bit sad, really. Police got called. didn't
If
they?
he'd gone along with his weight in some sort of alcoholic beverage, they might have just allowed him entry, mightn't they?
They might have done. To be fair though, it's another saga, isn't it? And a fairly sad tale for Jan. So hopefully he will be able to get himself back on track.
Yep, completely agree with you. Jan Ullrich, it's safe to say, has had a turbulent life since he finished cycling, and it would be great.
Well,
to-
during cycling as well, isn't it?
Yeah, it's true.
There's ups
That's
and
been a
downs.
long time now. So, like you said, let's hope he gets his life back on track sooner rather than later. Right, I think we should finish cycling short with a couple of our favourite dark confessions from last
Yeah.
week's show.
Another squirrel murderer in our midst, I noticed.
We are going to start with Ian Lloyd. I have a very dark secret. It's a good start. Almost verging on the...
Macabre?
Yes. So it's very blurred, so I put this screen grab in, I can hardly read it. Whilst climbing Sacalobra in 35-degree heat at the busiest time of the day for traffic, 10 kilograms overweight, in my mid-50s and on the verge of total collapse, I took a sticky wheel arch. I've never heard. Have you heard of a sticky wheel arch? I took a sticky wheel arch from a coach near the top of the climb. I got 3 Strava KOMs and kept them.
Oh my word, Ian. That. Well, fair enough. Anyway, he also goes on to say, Dan, and this is weird.
This is how blurred it is. Look,
Yeah.
he's only 2 inches from the screen.
I've even started watching the John Travolta guy with the muscles to get fit quick.
Is that Opie?
I think he's referring to Chris Opie as the John Travolta guy with the muscles. So,
Yeah. I'd take that as a compliment.
right with those things.
We also had this one from J7A26. Dark secret, I got into cycling in order to meet girls, but ended up liking the sport so much I've actually cancelled dates to go for a ride. Sure that wasn't you? Didn't you have something like that?
Oh yeah, I'm guilty of that. Weird that you got into cycling in order to meet girls. Maybe it's just me that never met girls through cycling. Oh man, this is a really upsetting show, isn't it? No one's ever called us John Travolta. No one's ever described us as having muscles, and I'd never met a girl through cycling.
And you're hot, sweaty and stinky.
Oh man!
It's time now for our weekly inspiration, which you'll remember is the opportunity for all of you to potentially win some quite substantial Wiggle vouchers. So each week we pick our 3 favourites, either from the uploader, which Sarah will remind you about in a second, or from the hashtag GCN Inspiration on Instagram. Third place will receive £50, second £75, and the winner each week £100 of Wiggle vouchers to spend on anything you want.
That's right, for the most inspirational cycling photo. And I better remind you about the uploader, seeing as Dan's just prompted me. We have a snazzy new thing called the uploader, the link to which is in the description below this video. Basically, you click on that and it takes you through to a special page where you can send us stuff direct. And it doesn't have to be your inspirational photo. It could be a welcome to the GCN show, it could be a hack or a bodge.
Or Extreme Corner.
We decide. Yeah, or you send us Extreme Corner, that'd be good. Right then, anyway, shall we crack on? Without further ado, in third place, we have this picture sent in by David, who said, this is last weekend's Peel District B grade race, a successful race-long breakaway from Perth in Australia. That is a pretty cool photo, isn't it? And I'm glad you said it was successful, your breakaway, because otherwise I'd be terrified. I hated that feeling of being chased down by a person, especially if you're about to get caught. But if you evade the pack, then fair play to you. That is indeed inspirational. Very, very cool.
That picture reminds me of the Thursday night Barnesfield Heath Handicaps near to where I grew up, otherwise known as the Thursday Night World Championships. A very similar looking course, actually. I don't think I ever successfully had a solo breakaway succeed.
I don't think Sagan's ever won that either, has he? He's got 3 world titles, but never the Thursday Night Worlds.
No,
which is a shame.
You could not win a B grade race like that.
Yeah, hey,
you, David.
But we're just thinking, obviously, this is another Australian entry. Last week, Ollie and I were talking about how terrified we were to ride in Australia. Someone's actually got into it. This is from Terence Simon. He said, "You folks should be more worried about swooping magpies or drop bears." Now we were talking about koalas, crocodiles, and spiders and stuff. But yeah, I'd never even heard of a drop bear, mate. No, I'm properly nervous.
Sounds nasty.
Sounds horrible. Yeah.
Right,
Anyway,
you ready?
yeah.
We announce the second place prize winner from this week,
what
and
a
it
photo.
is Nemo from Shenandoah National Park in the USA.
Shenandoah.
This is after one of the big climbs at that national park. I'm not going to try and pronounce the name wrongly again.
Shenandoah.
Group waiting at the top for a few of us who were off the back, and they took this amazing photo.
That does sum up the beauty of group rides, in my mind. That just looks like, I mean, they might all be having an argument for all we know, but that just looks like a proper cool, like, we're all in top of a climb, everyone's pushed themselves a little bit, having a little chat, wait for everyone to regroup, and then bomb back down the other side. That is cool, isn't it?
Yeah, really good photo. But it didn't quite manage to beat this one, which is the winner of £100 of Wiggle vouchers.
That's right, this was sent in by Aaron from South Korea. This is the Naejangsan National Park, and he says...
Definitely not pronounced like that.
No, probably not. When you and your mate give up on the Strava segment because you just need to take a moment to show proper reverence to the world. You know what? I'd say fair enough. That is a view and a half.
Yeah.
That looks beautiful, doesn't it?
Forget about this Strava segment when you've got a view like that. Just take it in.
Yeah.
And take a photo and send it in and win £100.
Yeah, fair play. Anyway, there we go. So that's a £100 Wiggle voucher for you. Let us know what you decide to spend it on, in fact, because, yeah, always quite intrigued.
Yeah, and also make sure you keep sending in your photos either with the uploader or on GCN Inspiration on Instagram, because there have been some belters, haven't they? It's taken us a long time actually to look through them all.
Oh yeah, but what an enjoyable morning it's been. There's only one story that we thought we could start racing news with this week, and that is that Aqua Blue Sports, the Irish Pro Continental team, announced last week that they had acquired Sniper Cycling, who is the company responsible for the Verandus Willems Crayland team, home of cyclocross superstar Wout van Aert. Only the problem was no one from Sniper Cycling realised they'd been bought.
This has to be one of the strangest cycling story, I think, from the entire year so
It's a
far.
weird one.
To be fair, Sniper Cycling did say that there are some discussions going on behind the scenes, but it was so weird. Like, press releases went out, and on social media for Aqua Blue Sport, they later then had to take them all down.
Yeah, but then rather admitting the mistake, they just kind of tried to brush it under the carpet, which was a bit late by then. Anyway, apparently there will be more news in the next couple of days that will explain the whole situation, so we await with interest. Anyway, should we talk transfers? Actual proper ones now that August the 1st has happened and everything's official, apart from team acquisitions.
Not press releases that could later be rescinded because the news actually hadn't been confirmed yet.
Yeah, exactly. Right, go on then. Who's up first?
Well, first up, we have got a couple of recruits from Team Dimension Data. They've got one of my favourite riders, Mikael Velgren, from Team Astana.
Ah, yeah, your mate, Michael.
Yes, and they've also been busy, actually, because they signed Danilo Viss from his current squad. Then we've got Andre Greipel.
This is a weird one, this one, isn't it?
Right, he's leaving Lotto Soudal, of course. Apparently going to the Pro Continental French squad, Fortunato Samsic. Now, I don't want to be unfair, but he might be hoping this is fake news. Because, sorry, but they're not really noted for their sprint lead-out trains, are they? Although his key sprint lead-out rider, Marcel Seeberg, is also leaving Lotto Soudal, so it's likely that he'll be going wherever Andre goes. Then we've also got Ivan Sosa, the Colombian climbing super talent, latest young rider. He's going from Androni over to Trek Segafredo next year. And finally, we have Pierre Roland, who's kind of going home, really, to Direct Energy, apparently, from EF Education First.
Yeah, now this is going to be interesting, isn't it? To see whether or not Roland goes back to training like it's 1975, because that was what his current team manager, Jonathan Vaughters, rather cruelly said that Roland had been doing, and that actually Vaughters himself will be able to unlock hitherto untold talent depths with his amazing training methods.
It'd actually be interesting to know how many wins he had in the 3 seasons he's been there. But,
well, interesting you asked that, Dan, because he's won 2 races in the last 3 seasons for the Argyle squad.
You also know how many he won the 3 previous seasons?
Yep, he won 4. So presumably he will want to go back to training like it's 1975. Either that or presumably Vaughters was actually training like it was 1950.
Well, yeah, he didn't say what decade his coaching methods came from. Maybe it's a step forward in time for him to go back to Direct Energy.
Well, that's it. Or maybe Jonathan Vaughters maybe needs to have a long, hard look at his coaching methods. I don't know. I wouldn't want to say.
What he could do, though, when he goes back to Direct Energy, is take his spleen out.
Yes, so this is a bit weird, right? So we put it in context. Last week, we mentioned that Geraint Thomas, as an under-23, had been involved in this pretty horrific accident, and one of the results of which was he had to have his spleen removed. Ollie and I were then like, well, it can't have made that much difference, but several of you got involved in the comments, doctors perhaps, or pathologists even. Apparently, 150 to 200 gram weight saving, just by having your spleen out.
It is significant, isn't it? It's a shame, actually, you can't have your ankles removed. That would save quite a few kilos, wouldn't it?
Well, the only oversized appendage you've got is your head. Most of your body weight's in there. And it probably wouldn't impact your personality if you lost it.
We shall start hack / what's that?
Backhand. Hack
/ bodge of the week. With an update, actually, from one of the hacks / bodges from last week.
Yes, this is Alan Parkinson. Last week, Ollie and I were quite rude, frankly, about his terrible bodged helmet peak.
Oh my god.
Anyway, he wrote in to say, you were right about my bodge helmet peak. It never made it very far, and I got a proper hat, wait for it, at the sign-on to the Transcontinental race on Sunday. At present is day 6, I'm in Austria, and about 12 hours in front of the control closing, which I'm very happy about.
Well,
not only is he 12 hours in front, he's also had time to watch the GCN show, so fair play, Alan. That's mega.
That is a definite hat, isn't it?
Hey!
Jasper Mungo Menzies provides the first hack / bodge for this week's GCN show. Superglued some grip on my grips, as I hate wearing gloves, especially in the heat. Doesn't work too badly. Not a problem I've ever had, I have to say.
No, it's not a pretty hack, but if it's your personal problem and you've solved it without spending any cash.
Imagine it didn't work. He's like, no, I'm stuck now with a load of super glue over my grips. Bodge, I'm going to say.
Oh, my word. Oh, sorry about that.
Straight in with the bodge.
Right, next one. We've got this, which, you ready? Wait for it. Whoa, man, that's
Quite loud, isn't it?
It is quite loud, yeah. Anyway, that was Simon8642. My friend asked me to pimp his bike. I'm not sure you've pimped it there, but anyway.
You added a big white box and put a Mavic sticker on it and made it make a sound.
Yeah, but if you need a horn, there you go. That's one, isn't it? So, bodge, are we saying?
Yeah, it's no Mavic Metronic, that is it? I'd say bodge, yeah.
Yeah, all right, bodge.
Paul A. Evans over on Instagram. Transport hacks when you're flying with a bike and a skateboard. And that will make ease of transportation better, won't it, around the airport? An old teammate of mine, David Clark, did that. Before bike bags had wheels on the bottom, he put a skateboard in. Not that he needed to transport it, just made transportation of the bike bag easier.
But there's only one set of wheels on that. Surely you need a skateboard at either end of your bike box, then you can sit on it and go around airports effortlessly.
Like a trunky.
Yeah, but an
go on.
adult trunky. Yeah, I think that'd be great. No, I think that's probably a hack, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm going to say hack.
This
moving
one?
on. Yeah, Panda Tank.
It doesn't start off very well, does it? Let's face
No,
it.
it's a bit of metal. So let's move on to the next photo, taking shape, and then we get to this. You can start to see what it is now, can't you? DIY integrated mount. Forgot to take a pic of the mounting holes.
Well, yeah, because something's worrying me about this from Panda Tank. They've not bothered to file off the ends of those razor-sharp screws, which is pretty bad. It's a bit of an omission, and it leads me to worry that maybe the way that the actual mount is attached to the stem might be a similar level of bodginess. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm worried that basically it's just a drill gone straight through that carbon stem.
Should we not even say hack or bodge? We just leave it until we get an update again for next
Panda
week.
Tank, we need an update, please, before you can be truly judged to have graduated hack or bodge.
This next one's got my name on it, quite literally.
Oh, yeah.
Lloyd, as you can see. Apparently at RYRY Lloyd, these are for, though. This is a custom paint. Well, it's not paint, is it? Stickers on a casque helmet and some physique shoes. But it does look quite spangly and...
Who knew?
Well, it looks great with that name on.
Yeah, to be fair, I could see you with a flamboyant name sticker. You couldn't ever put my name on a pair of shoes because it's too long.
You can put it around your ankles.
That's a good point. Put it on your helmet. Enormous thing, isn't it?
Right.
Anyway,
on.
yeah.
This is from Jon Gottlieb.
Sorry, but should we say actually, that's actually quite good to know that you can stick stickers on shoes and customise them.
Yeah, I don't know how long they'd last.
That's a good point.
Jon Gottlieb, who many of you will know over on Instagram. He produces some great animations over there. This is my buddy Kevin Campbell's GCN hack. He's the content team manager at Dimension Data. Pretty slick way to store your bike log, and I would agree.
I would agree. Now that is the first genuine hack of the week, as far as I'm concerned, Dan. That's
lucky, because
amazing.
that's the last one.
We've ended on a positive note. If you want to get involved in GCN Hack next week, of course, you can upload your image directly to us. Click on the link in the description below to go to the GCN uploader. Or, of course, more conventional means, just use the hashtag GCN Hack on Twitter and Instagram and
Facebook. This was last week's caption photo. Your opportunity each week to win a GCN Camelback water bottle. We have a winner, which Si has chosen. He loves this.
I do. Yeah, so this is sent in by Paul Hoyland. You ready? And this is the shrine to Fabian Candelabra.
Yeah, it is good actually. Well done, Paul.
It is good, yeah. Well done, Paul.
Get in touch with your address on Facebook. We'll get the bottle out to you straight away. This week's photo is from the Tour of Poland. Here's one of the Mitchelton Scott mechanics with a wheel, presumably sometime
embedded
before the start.
In his head, mate. That looks brutal.
I will get you all going. No, I said I wanted a head disc wheel. You know Head, the people that make wheels?
I do, mate. You know what? I think that's quite good.
Yay!
I think that's
made
not
up.
bad. Yeah,
One kiss,
fantastic.
they're made up. Right, if you can do better than that, or even if you can't, leave your captions in the comment section down below. Get stuck in, we'll pick our favourite this time next week.
To be fair, I'm expecting some good ones. That is a belter of a photo.
I was complacent going, oh man, you're such a diskhead.
Probably just as well you didn't get for that one. Before we get on to what is coming up on the channel this week, let's first have a look at some of the great comments that you've been leaving underneath last week's videos, like this one, which was underneath the riders and bikes of the Transcontinental. G. Ledesma said, I wanted to sneak in a comment about pickle juice when the moment was right, but it never came. So, pickle juice.
Oh, the old pickle juice scandal, still rumbling on.
Controversial.
Yes. Meanwhile, underneath GCN
Should we explain, by the way, Catherine has been embroiled in a pickle juice scandal, which has now actually been resolved. But yeah, basically, it turns out that she is it called pickle doping?
It must be something along those lines, yeah.
Probably.
She's trying to forget about it, but we keep reminding her.
Yeah.
Underneath GCN goes bike packing, how to set up a bivvy. Sal Rayson, it's very close to the name of a Ford Pro actually, Sal Rayson. Who forced Side to do this? This is the most miserable worried I think I've ever seen him, except for earlier on in this show. Great vid. There's the end of that.
Yeah, that's so. Yeah. I was quite worried actually when I was told that I had to zip the bivvy over my head.
You zip it up over your head,
It depends how cold it is and if it's raining.
but potentially, yeah.
Potentially, yeah.
Which
Yeah.
wouldn't be able to sleep
Well,
like that.
I wouldn't have been able to do that.
Good point.
According to you.
Yeah.
And finally, underneath last week's show, Stephen Tuthill. Just wanted to say how inspiring Emma Pooley is in real life. Not just a world champion and amazing presenter, but an awesome person in real life too.
Yeah.
Unfortunately,
fair
it's
enough.
hard to disagree.
No, I know.
She's quite a nice person in real life. Very nice. Actually.
Chris looks like John Travolta and he's got muscles. Emma's just incredible on all fronts. Maybe
Yeah,
that's-
Catherine's a natural in front of camera.
Oh, this guy's
Yeah.
PhD.
Do you think this played-in will give us any nice comments made for the show?
No.
No, it won't. Right, anyway, coming up on the channel this week, Wednesday, we are going to show you how to use clipless pedals. That, of course, aimed at beginners in terms of cyclists.
And Matt as well, if he's watching still.
Yes, very true. Also, we talked earlier about whether you need to wear helmets all the time on the bike. The video that's also coming out on Wednesday is whether or not you should be using lights during daylight hours.
The case for
It's quite
daytime
an
running lights.
Interesting subject, that one.
Yeah.
Thursday, we are going to let you know the 6 best doping excuses of all time. There have been some crackers over quite recent years, in fact.
Oh, yeah.
Friday, as ever, it's Ask GC Anything.
Yeah, on Saturday, it's Haute Cuisine, Volume 5. Emma is showing us one of her latest recipes using oats as the basic ingredient, which is going to be pretty cool. This one is, chocolate coconut vegan porridge. Then on Sunday, we've got a very interesting one actually. Ollie and James had a look at flat bar versus drop handlebar road bikes. Okay, so comparing the difference between those two. And also, we've got a cheeky little race at the Maratona between Emma and Chris. So that's going back a few weeks, but that's a good one. Then Monday is the GCN Racing News Show, and Tuesday it's GCN Show 292, creeping up on
indeed.
Sylvain Chavanel's record.
Yeah, be 300 before you know it. I wonder who won that Maratona out of the incredibly lovely Emma Pooley or the great muscular John Travolta Chris Opie.
I don't care, Dan, frankly. It's time now for Extreme... What's that, mate?
It's a backhanded X, like your backhanded slash.
I like what you're doing there. Just add a little bit of something. Anyway, Extreme Corner this week comes from the French National Downhill Mountain Bike Championships. This video clip is courtesy of the guys at MTB Beds, the mountain bike holiday company. And frankly, it's pretty extreme.
Let's check it out.
Come on then. Oh!
If you ever want entertainment, choose a downhill mountain bike race where it's been raining and get a muddy corner. Look at this.
Well
got
held.
through.
Oh, nice work. And another one.
Yeah,
Fair play.
but then it gets good.
Yeah, crikey.
Slow motion crash on the mud just there.
Oh man, that looks painful. Whoa! There you go. Oh look, that lady from before standing up. That's all right. She's not badly hurt. Oh, ouchie, that looked pretty bad, didn't it?
I remember exactly this sort of thing as a youngster when downhill mountain bike races
He's not
first
finished yet.
started.
Look at that
How long are
one.
we going on for?
That was sketchy.
Don't think he even crashed there. When downhill mountain bike races first started,
and there's
it
just
was
a guy with a
often muddy and wet, and the courses were often on grass, and you used to get some spectacular crashes. In fact, I think I had it on camcorder back in the day. Quite a few
you bring
crashes
that
could have been on
camcorder
Extreme
in, yeah.
Corner. In fact, I did a downhill mountain bike race once, right, and you used to get 2 runs. There was a tiny little wooden ramp to start with. I didn't even manage to go down it. I fell off the side of it. I didn't fall off, but I went off the side. And then there was one corner after about 50 metres, left-hand turn, on grass, completely dry, slid out. 2 mistakes in the first 30 seconds of my only ever downhill race.
To be fair, I only ever did one downhill race as well, and I was so pissed off with how I'd ridden that I never even bothered to check the results because I basically unclipped for one corner to get my foot out to look cool, and I never got it back in. For the rest of the run, I was riding down, stabbing at my bloody pedal. Anyway, there we go.
Yes,
terrible.
those are the days, weren't they?
25
And so we
years ago.
ended up being cross-country riders, didn't we?
And then road riders, because that was much easier.
Yeah, the trouble was we weren't any good at going up it either.
No.
Anyway, should we end the show?
Yeah, probably best bring it to a close there, aren't we? Right, do make sure you give this video a big thumbs up. And also, check out the video that we talked about earlier of Emma checking out Les Cadets, which is like the future stars of the Tour de France video. Do make sure you have a look at that one.
The cadets